Hello, everyone. Welcome. Yay, look who's here. I love Kim. And so I am so happy you are here, Kim. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, and thank you for having me. And even in your chat, I see some familiar names, so it makes me feel at home.
Oh, good. Yeah, everybody's very excited that
Oh,
you're here,
good.
that they get to
Well,
see
thank
you
you.
today. So, yeah,
Thank you.
man, we've got, familiar faces all
Yeah.
over the place. So, anyway, I just wanted to talk to you to start off with about orbs.
Yeah.
Orbs. You're
Talk
doing,
about orbs.
you love orbs?
I said we can talk about orbs. Yeah, I love orbs, and we can talk about orbs. Yeah.
I see that you're doing mediumship through orbs. Or what does that mean? What does that mean to you? And what do you do?
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad you're asking this question because I want to kind of I just want to turn it up just a little bit so I can hear you. So I was concentrating for a couple of years on really focusing on teaching and mentoring. And so I've been mentoring for a while and just having like private mentoring sessions. And then all of a sudden about this time last year, I started getting messages that were to do mediumship. And I really was like, no, that's not really what I do. Telling my guides, I think you might be mistaken. But so I really, pushed back for a while and was like, I don't really consider I can do mediumship and I do mediumship, but I don't consider that every reader, has their thing where they feel like this is easy for me or this is what I do. And it just didn't I just didn't consider it my thing. So I'm like, this is weird. And maybe I'm misunderstanding. And they kept at it and kept at it. And finally, I'm like, what is this? And then I heard with a twist. And I was like, with a twist, mediumship with a twist. What's the twist? And I could not figure it out for the longest time. And all of a sudden, I'm working with doing orb work, which I do every night, all the time. I love it. And then that's when I put it together. It's with orbs. And what it basically is, and then through the year, I did a few test cases because I had to figure out, how do I do this? How long does it take me to prepare? How does this take place? What is this? Because to my knowledge, it's not been, at least I don't know of it being done before. So I don't know. I'm testing everything out. So the last year, I've kind of just been going through figuring this out and how it would look. And basically what it looks like is you are able to, in advance, 10 days before, because it takes about 5 to 7 days to prepare and to get this on film. But you're going to choose the loved one you'd like to contact or the pet. We could do a pet. And then you can ask them 3 yes or no questions, which they will answer with the orbs because that's how I communicate with them. And then the appointment everything will be filmed. And at the appointment that we have, usually it lasts about 3 to 5 minutes, which has taken me a year to figure out how to do this because, as you know, with orbs, it's a seconds. It's not, you can't hold that very long. It's only a few seconds, maybe a minute or 2. But what I have found is that they show up with other people. So I had one appointment that was a young man, and he showed up with a grandmother and a grandfather, kind of bookending him. And what I also noticed is when I filmed, you can actually see the silhouette of the person and you can see the orbs shooting out from them. And in fact, in one of them, the young man put up his hand and you can see him tossing out the orb like a baseball. And his mom was like, he played baseball all the time. She's like, that is him. So it was almost miraculous, you know?
Right.
So the whole exchange with me and the loved one is filmed. And the way that the appointment is done is I tell you all of the things that I felt, that I noticed, that I got from the loved one, what they're going to be seeing. And then we watch the film together. And then afterwards, they can ask any question, any follow-up questions they want to ask. And that's basically what it is. But between myself preparing, but the other side figuring it out, we can hold that connection for about 3 to 5 minutes, which is pretty astounding. And they have very unique ways of letting you know it's them. Character things, colors. They've started to use sacred geometry. So they'll have like several orbs together that mean certain things. It's kind of unbelievable,
Yeah.
but also you can see it with your own eyes. So it's almost like you can't quite believe what you're seeing, but you're seeing it.
Right.
And I think that what I have felt and what my hope is that it will help people that are in deep grief, if they're stuck in grief because they can't, they don't know where their loved one's gone. They don't know if they'll see them again. And it's so I'm hoping and praying that it helps people that really, really need to know and see with their own eyes that their loved one is okay and that they will see them again and that they're exactly the same, because they always come through with their sense of humor, their personality, little things that let you know it's them. Even pets will do that. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, but also, and it took me a really long time, and everything else is like on hold or gone for now because I'm just concentrating on this. And one appointment takes about a week to prepare for and to deliver. So it's it's a little more expensive than my other services have been,
Right.
because I've had to wipe out everything. But I'm hoping that I'll get faster at it as I go, and that I'll be able to do more appointments and be able to lower the price because I really always want to keep things affordable for people, because I know that these are services that people need, especially in something like this. I take it very seriously. I'm honored to be able to connect people with their loved ones. It's it's such a gift from the other side. So I really take it seriously. And I have to say, with all of this, that I only have about 4 appointments left. They were pretty much gone pretty quickly. But if you go and you don't get one, send me an email and I'll try to figure out either starting a wait list or figuring out if there's a place I can fit you in. So just FYI about that. So nobody's disappointed if they go and it's not there. There are only a few appointments left.
Wow. What a beautiful gift, right? That you're able to do this, but that you can give to others and help others, right? That's one thing about mediumship, is it can really help people to heal, right? To get that clarification and know that they will see their loved one again, or that's really
that's
beautiful.
what it's all about. And I think it's just that being able to know that they're okay, they're still them. I think sometimes when they're gone, it's like, will I ever see that person again, the person I knew? Mm-hmm. And they're very much themselves, very much themselves. So they do take, you will see them and they will be like they were here. It's just their best version, their least stressed out version of themselves, the happiest version, that's what you'll find on the other side. And you'll also find them looking the best they've ever looked. And, they're usually, if they were old when they pass, they're young when they come through. So, yeah, it's just a very, very happy reunion to be able to facilitate. It's been so rewarding. The test cases that I've done have been unbelievable. The other side is working overtime to let us know everything's okay, and that we don't need to fear death the way that we do. And I think that is really what's behind all of this, is that we don't fear death the way we have, because I think there's something about our fear of death that is holding up our spiritual evolution in some way. I don't know the whole story, but that's kind of my feeling and kind of what I've gotten in certain in working with Orbs. That this is a way to let people know not to be afraid, that everything's okay. We go on, and that we shouldn't, and you live your life differently when you don't fear death, right? You take more chances, you have more fun, you have more joy. You live differently. So I think that's what is really behind some of this, and the work with Orbs. I know you said you have Orbs in your house, and I think we're just going to be the veil is thinning. That's basically it.
What does that mean to you when we say the veil is thinning? We hear that. What does that mean for you, to you?
To me, it means, so when a person passes, they no longer have their physical body. And so we can't, people that are are in touch with their mediumship skills, or have worked on their, raising their vibration, they might be able to perceive them. But most people can't perceive their loved one anymore because they don't have the physical body that kept them at this frequency. When the physical body is gone, there they are as their spirit self, and they're vibrating at a different frequency that we can't perceive. So when we say the veil is thinning, what that means is our vibration is raising, and we're able to perceive more, because it's all here. You're surrounded by people and angels and guides and all the time. And so as the veil thins, you might start to feel like, I feel like someone's here, but I can't see anybody. Or so you'll start to perceive it where you didn't before. And also I think technology is helping this as well, because we have technology now with our phones, which is what I do Orbs with different, you've seen them on ghost shows, those spirit boxes and stuff. Like, our technology is allowing us to perceive what's going on the other side. And so that's another way that the veil is thinning. It's a combination of things, but basically what it means is we are going to more easily be able to perceive the other side, which is around us.
Excellent. Love that explanation. That's great. So, but Orbs, like I see Orbs here on my property. So I live in New Mexico. I'm up in the mountains. I'm in the woods. And I have cameras all over. Across from my front door is a portal, and Orbs shoot out and set off my doorbell camera. And I see things come flying out, and I see things, lights, orbs going in, but very quickly, like you talked about, it's kind of like do, 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 I've caught interesting lights in that portal, and they shoot out, and there's things at my doorbell. I've posted them on my channel. It's kind of hard to see what's going on, but that's what's happening. If you look, several times, you can see it. I've caught a really giant orb hangs out behind here. Like, my office is here, and I have a camera back there because all my rocks are in here. So, but you can see this large lumbering kind of slow moving orb on the camera. I tried to figure out how to share my screen on StreamYard. I'm going to work on it because I'd really like for you to see these. I've saved all these videos in a file, so it would be really fun. So, but, and they're in my house. When I do readings, they fly through. And so,
Yeah.
okay. Now, I'm kind of switching gears. So there's this mystery house, it's called, at Glacier National Park. And it's this gentleman, he was a physicist, bought this house, the mystery house, because it sits on a portal, but it's on an energy. I mean, definitely on a space of energy, because the house will move. And it's this old like cabin. So, I mean, he doesn't live there. He lives in the house behind. They have like a gift shop and everything, but you can tour this house and go through and stand. And it's like at times you'll be pointing this way, at times you're pointing this way, because it's on a portal or some sort of space of energy. But so he has a relationship with Sasquatch, and he put up videos, or excuse me, cameras, and captured videos of, he asked, what is this space for you? Because they bang on his wall. And I mean, he knows. Yeah, he's had a relationship with them for a long time. So, but he caught on camera, it was like a large orb like that, but it was like really, really big, and then came in and it like collapsed on itself. And then you watched it as it swirled up like this portal, like it was moving into a different dimension, So, like when you are talking about crossed over loved ones or folks from the other side and doing this orb mediumship, I mean, what do you think about that? Like if the Sasquatch is able to move through dimensions but appears as an orb. So maybe there's something there in talking about the energy. Do you have any reflections on that?
Yeah, well, I'm getting, as you're talking, I'm getting things. First of all, I want you to know that a lot of the orbs that you're catching, which completely makes sense to me, but I don't know. I know you're in New Mexico, but I don't know about the specific area you're in, but you're getting it's basically a lot of spirits of animals. So just so you know, that I know that I'm sure some are guides, and I'm sure some are, when you do work for other people, I'm sure like their people are here and stuff like that. But just so you know, there's a lot of animals going through a lot of spirits of animals going through your house.
Okay.
And all around. So just that just came through. So I don't know that if you want to know that or not, but that's
no, I love knowing that. Tell me everything.
So first of all, what orbs are it's a concentration of spirit energy, right? It's a concentrated form. It can be the actual being. A lot of pets will use orbs to come through, and it's the actual pet. They're traveling that way. It's a way to travel into this dimension. And they're not big, they're tiny, they're not very big. What illuminates them is our cameras and stuff. The light makes them bigger so that we can see them. So they travel in and they, do whatever they do and check up on us. And they're doing that anyways, but this is just a way we can see them. Some of them, right? It's not picking up everything, it's just picking up some of them. But with people, and I'll get to your question about the Sasquatch in just a second. Okay. I just wanted to make sure people understand what it is, or what I've observed it to be. With people, it's a little bit different. They can also travel in that form. However, in one interaction, which was with my dad, my poor dad, I keep him so busy on the other side. He's always helping me with stuff. He's probably like, okay, stop asking me. But when I first started working with orbs, I was kind of perplexed, and I wanted to do different experiments and things like that with orbs, seeing what they can do, what they can't do, if I can repeat things, if I can get colors on demand, things like that. So I asked him to help me. And as I was filming, the light was just so that I could see his silhouette. And all of a sudden in the film, you hear me say, I can see you. I can see you, Dad. And he kind of raised his hand like he waved like that. And then he went like this with his hands, and an orb shot out. And then he went like this again, and an orb shot out. So when it's our loved ones, and this is what I'm capturing on the film, and like I said, where I'm filming and how it's coming out, you can see the silhouettes a lot of the time. Not every time. I don't want to make that promise that every time you'll see the silhouette, but the ones I've done so far, you can see that the energy form of the silhouette there. But that changed the way I thought about orbs, because sometimes it's the actual person just coming in. That's not what they look like. When you go to see them, they're not going to be a ball of light. They're going to be in their form that you know them as, their light form, physical form, their light form. But traveling into this dimension is a little bit different. However, they can also just be here and send out orbs from their energy. It's like them blowing a kiss, sending out just a piece of their energy out to us. I have a video where they told me to, I think they said make energy or create energy. And I went like this, like I'd seen my dad do. And I opened my hands and an orb shot out. It's on film.
Ooh.
So it's
Wow.
so it tells us something. It tells us how this is happening.
Right.
And so with the Sasquatch, what I got is that, so his home, it's like a playground, is how they explain it. It's like a playground for them, because there is something in the energy around that space. Right. And also his openness to it. So we are always involved, whether we know it or not. If we're scared or we don't like it or we don't want to see something, they don't want to scare us or freak us out. But it's a combination of where he is, the way that the energy moves through that space, and his openness to it, that it's like a playground. And they're having, to me, it feels like they're having a lot of fun with him. And it's fun for them. And they also know that he's sharing it. So they're giving him stuff to share. They're letting him experience things so he can say, look, I've got this, and now I've got this. And so they're very aware that he's sharing the information. The Sasquatch, yeah, I mean, it's a Sasquatch energy. That's what it is. Right. If you ask for, I've asked for, can I see with orbs, can I see a fairy energy? Is there a fairy energy? What does that look like? And all of a sudden, the orbs got very, very tiny and started to buzz around, almost like fireflies, right? So they were showing me like and so that's what he was getting, was they were showing him, this is what the Sasquatch energy looks like. In an orb form or in a spirit form, this is what it looks like. If you were to perceive it from where you are, from Earth, this is what it looks like. This is what it is. So that's what I've got about what's happening with him. So for all intents and purposes, yeah, he's getting it. They're showing him what a Sasquatch energy looks like, and that's what it looks like.
Wow, fascinating. You know, because when, so I'm into soul contracts, and I teach a soul contracts class. And step 5 is a releasing of your soul contracts. And so when we do that, when we do this meditation together, we've seen wisps, like just like tons of them, because I will turn the camera around and I will catch them in the room. I mean, I'm here, everybody's on Zoom. But it's interesting how they congregate in my space. And then We've had orbs one time. One class was orbs. It was like all these, and they went out the window, just kind of where my window was when I lived in Seattle. It was fascinating. One time it was like uh, a gate opened and there was a big white orb light, and then it was an angel being. And so when everyone did the release, it like opened up and it was this light and you can see it. And then, so the orb like turned into this angelic being and then it closed. So I think it's just fascinating that you do this work, because there are so many, it seems like, dimensions to orb work. Like orb work will become like a whole new study in psychic work, right?
I hope so. I really hope so, because there's so much to learn. And I'm sure everybody does it differently. When I do it, I approach it like a science experiment, because I'll ask for something, they'll do it, and then I'll ask for it again. And then I'll ask for something and I try to repeat it like you would a science experiment. Okay, that worked. Let's repeat that. Let's do that again. I just wanted to tell you that, and if this bugs you, just let me know. I can stop telling you what I'm getting. But when you talked about the wispy thing there, I heard the phrase soul signature. So I felt like there was something about it's almost like erasing the signature or erasing something, the signature of the whatever that looks like. I don't think we're actually signing stuff in on the other side, but there's some kind of agreement. But because we're on the earth plane, it's almost like we're erasing the soul signature. But that's what I got. So I just wanted to let you know. The other stuff is fascinating, and I'm sure you'll get more stuff. And I always tell people, when you see an orb, or go with your instinct. It's a lot like when you get messages, go with what you think it is, go with that instinct, because usually you're going to be right. If you think, I was just thinking about, Uncle Joe, and then I saw that orb, I think that's Uncle Joe, go with it, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to be right.
Right. Yeah. Fantastic. That's so cool, because that's what I say. When we're doing soul contract work, it's about energy, looking at relationships, our experiences with other souls. It's energy. So when we have these relationships, they leave like a signature on us, a frequency. I call it a signature that's left. It's like an energy imprint. So that's what you're doing when you do the releasing work. I mean, it's like you can know this up here cognitively about relationships, but there's an energetic imprint that's left on your soul. And so it's so cool that you got that.
That's so beautiful. And that's the reason that when I did a recent video where I was praying for peace and democracy, right? I just did a heartfelt prayer. I was feeling it. I had watched the news and I was just feeling very sad. And I know orb work always lifts me immediately because it's very joyful. I'm sure that you felt that just kind of woo, that rush that comes in when you see an orb. It's very exhilarating and fun and joyful.
It's a buzz. It's like,
yeah. And so I filmed it because I thought, I want to show this if there's anything seen on film, because when you film it, you don't always see stuff. It's you can get better and better at calling it in, but there's still nights when it's like, oh, nobody's here. Okay, whatever. Or at least nothing I can perceive on camera is here. So, but I did this just a prayer session, meditation, where I was praying for peace and for democracy, and it just lit up the room. There's just orbs coming in and sweeping through and going through me and going through and colors and it's to illustrate that exactly what you're talking about, that when we do things like that, when we pray, when we meditate, when we ask for things, when we give a heartfelt prayer or request, it moves energy. It does something. And you can see it with your own eyes when I showed the orbs coming in. It's something is going on, something is happening, and I think it's so nice, like you said, to be able to see it with your own eyes and know my prayers aren't just going unanswered. No one's hearing me. No one can. No, that is not true. When you sit and you pray with your heart, and you're asking something, or you're requesting something, or you're concerned about something, or you're seeking something, you're being heard, and something is shifting when you do that. So but yeah, just like you said, exactly.
Wow, that's so cool. So cool. So you said that you got a message to go into the orb work or mediumship, but you weren't really doing mediumship, but you were mentoring. What kind of work was that? What was that like?
So mentoring. So I have on my website, intuitiview.com, there I have classes. They're recorded classes, and I did them quite a while ago, but they're just up there. And I have one on orbs to do orb work, if that's what you want to do. But I have one, a beginning course that is just kind of starting from the very beginning, deciding on what your spiritual practice will be, deciding on a type of meditation, helping to do that, and then figuring out what is my dominant ability. And it kind of goes through different ways to figure out how our message is coming through. Because once you know that, you can kind of zero in on, okay, I'm mostly clairvoyant. Let me pay attention to what I'm getting in my mind's eye. When you don't know, you kind of don't know what you're waiting for. You kind of don't, you don't really get what you're supposed to be, who knows, you don't know what you're supposed to be waiting for. So it kind of breaks that down in, I hope, a very basic and understandable way, because I'm very simple. I like things simply put so that I can understand them. I was a preschool teacher for 15 years. So I feel like that has come into play a lot, where I can kind of like, okay, let me break this down simply. And then I try to pass it on whenever I can. But so after people took the classes, they really wanted to talk about it and talk about the messages they got, or what they think they got, or those kinds of things. Or people that took my classes with the classes I did with Debbie, where we did some mediumship and we did some, other kinds of classes. So they wanted to follow up. And so I just felt like, I don't really just want to leave people hanging with, a class and then go off and do whatever you're going to do. Some people wanted to go into reading other people. Some people want to, depending on what they were doing. And it's a journey, as you know, it's expanding all the time. And so I just wanted to make myself available for people to be able to ask questions, to validate things, validate what they're getting, or to clarify what they're getting. Or some people have a lot of fear that they need to break through to do this work, because they really want to do it, but they're super scared, or they had a religious upbringing or something that plays into it. So working through that stuff. So that's what mentoring was. And I'm sure that we'll go back to that. But for right now, I really didn't realize how time consuming and how much preparation would go into this, but I think it's important. So I really wanted to, and I'm being guided, it's not like I'm just like, I'm just going to do this new thing. Really, honestly, they really had to work on me to get me to even budge to do this. And then to take all of the time to figure out, okay, how is this ever going to take place? Because I don't get it. Yeah. And then there was also like a technology, like learning curve as well. I had to figure out how to share the screen and how to, all that stuff too. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to do this. But it came together, as you know, how spirit is, and really does help when you need help, and sends in the right people when you need the right people. So it finally came together, and that's that. But that's what mentoring was. And I'm sure I will offer it again in the future when I when I'm more settled with this, and when I can get it to where, like I said, it's faster and a little more efficient. Right now, it just takes a long time.
Sure. Wow. This sounds wonderful. So you said backstage that you grew up as a Mormon.
Uh-huh.
You were born into a Mormon family. And
Uh-huh.
so tell everyone about your gifts. Like, when did you notice you had gifts, or did you know you had gifts as a kid, or when did that evolve for you, the realization? Or
So I think, we all have gifts. I mean, a lot of them, a lot of us, because we're in this dense place that is all consuming and that we're very focused in on, we tune them out. We start to not pay attention so much. Our guides still find ways to get us to nudge us this way, or get us the help we need, even if it's through another person. If they can get through them more easily to get to us, they'll do it. But they're going to help.
right.
They're very good at that. So, but most people kind of go through a lot of life very focused in on the 3D world, on the drama of the everyday, and that's what we're here to experience. So that's fine. But I think with my mom came from a very religious background, Mormon background. My dad was not Mormon.
Oh,
So I kind of had that balance of my dad always said he on Sundays, because he always watched football, he said he belonged to the church of the NFL. So that's what he would always say. But that was the difference. And he was always he was an atheist. He didn't really believe in anything like that, but he kept it to himself, and he let us go, he didn't care if we go to church or anything. So but how my gifts kind of took shape in the church was that I always believed in something outside of me, or something that was out there. I always believed in God. I always believed in Jesus. So I had this kind of connection to something. And what I realized when I was about 11 or 12 is that if I asked a question to God, Heavenly Father, Jesus, that what would happen was that on Sunday, I would get an answer through a song, through a lesson, through somebody just coming up and saying something to me. So I became very alert. And I feel like that's 99% of it, is just being alert after you've asked a question. And so it taught me that. And so I always am grateful for my upbringing, because that piece was in place. I knew that that I could connect somehow, even though the terminology was different. It wasn't quite, what was going on, but I had found a way to get that flow going, that back and forth. So that was, I always used that technique, and I knew that I had that connection. And then around the age of 30, because I left the church in 2008, but around the age of 30, I got a clairaudient message as I was watching my dad was in this condo when we bought it, and he was working in the backyard. And mind you, my dad was a man he never was in the hospital, never had an operation, super healthy all his life. And I was sitting there watching him in the backyard working, and I had a clairaudient message: he will not be here next summer. And my heart sank. And it was the first time that at least that I can remember, I got a clear message like that, where it was so clear. And of course, I thought, what a horrible thought I just had. What am I thinking? And I heard it again. I thought, why do I keep thinking that? Stop thinking that. It's a horrible thought. But after that, there was something in me that shifted, that believed it. And so the time I spent with him became very precious to me. And that, so that was summer. That fall, he was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. And by that winter, he was gone. It was very fast.
Yeah.
And then the night, I tell this story as well, the night before his, and I won't tell the whole story, but the night before his funeral, he appeared to me in my bedroom.
Ah.
And I always say, you know, when somebody passes that you're very, very close with, they leave a door open. They leave a door open. I just got chills with that because it's true. They leave a door open for you, and you can take that opportunity to continue that communication. And to be honest, the connection and the relationship with my dad is closer now than when he was here.
Right.
Because when they go to the other side, the barriers are down. And he was of a certain generation, you know, so he wasn't very, you know, he didn't not very, physically or emotionally very demonstrative,
Right.
a little shy about those things. And now there aren't those barriers anymore. I just feel like I'm so close to him, like I know him so well on another level. And so I think that's an important point too, is that you can continue relationships, and a lot of times they deepen in their intimacy, because you don't have the physical and mental barriers that you do when you're in a human body. I hope that makes sense.
Yes.
But you connect on a different level. And when you are really, really close to someone, they leave a door open. They invite you to, whether it's through a bird you keep seeing, or, you know, my dad leaves dimes. So he's left dimes for almost everybody in the family repeatedly, over and over again. And so they do this. They leave a door open for us to invite us to continue the relationship, and also to open up and open up our gifts that for many people lay dormant for, you know, sometimes most of their life. So, yeah.
Wow. And dimes. He brings dimes for everyone.
He does. And let me tell you, what we all have dime stories, but the best, one of my favorite dime stories is so the week that my mom, we all took care of my mom passed away last September. My sisters and I have 4 sisters. We all helped to take care of her. And through the last week, we were all working round the clock. It was a very difficult, hard week for everybody. And it's always difficult when you're seeing someone pass away and you're in that mode of being caretaker. So round the clock, and all of my sisters knew that he left dimes. He's left dimes for everybody. So all of us kept asking for a dime. This is so hard, Dad. Leave a dime. Where's the dime? Come on. You know, we're all scared to lose Mom, and we want to know you're going to be there for her. And so all week long this went on, and she passed away. And a few days later, my sisters and I met at the funeral home, and we were planning her, you know, talking about the casket and all the things that you have to do when you plan a funeral. It's such a difficult thing to do, but you do it. And we all decided to be there, and all decided to come. And we are all sitting around this glass table, all of us, and just, you know, talking about everything. And all of a sudden, the guy that was from the funeral home left the room. And my sister looked down, and right in the middle of the floor,
was a dime.
Under this glass table, was a dime. And we all just started to crack up, because so my dad, you know, he does things on his terms when he thinks it's going to be hilarious, or when he thinks we're going to be so surprised. And yeah, so that's a very typical dad dime story. And it's so, again, the way he does it, it's so his personality. My mom was so upset because she hadn't received a dime, and everybody had dimes, and how dare he not give her a dime. And she found one in one of her favorite pairs of shoes. She found a dime. it's just, he's very much the same guy and really wants to do stuff on his terms so that he can see us be surprised or laugh out loud. It's always laced with a little bit of humor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so great. That is so great. So it was kind of really through your relationship with him after is when it kind of segued you into the work that you do.
Yeah, it really did. And it wasn't overnight. I actually, my gifts really, really opened up when I had, again, kind of like a couple of difficult deaths. And then and another death where I was kind of in a caretaker role. And it was a very, very difficult passing. And I had a really hard time. And I went to a silent retreat and had a complete just opening breakthrough. And so I want to, it's a good opportunity to tell people that sometimes when you go through these awful, awful hard things and you feel like you are at the bottom of where you could possibly get, that those kinds of experiences, they do something to crack us open in a different way. Mm-hmm. When you are at your lowest ebb, you really become open and vulnerable in a different way than when you're just walking around having a happy life. It's very, very different. And you are open to the other side in just a different way. And that's usually when things can really shift and break open. Right. And that was it for me. I mean, I was not the same after that. And that along with the fact I was studying all of Eckhart Tolle's work and becoming very, very present and really working on presence. And your guides and the loved ones that want to get you messages are always in the here and now. Mm-hmm. You're not going to find them in your head anywhere. They're right here, right now. And so when you can become focused in the present, that's what I do when I scribble. That's what I'm doing, is trying to focus in on right here, right now, and get in that meditative kind of state. But that, along with this kind of cracking open the ego, mm-hmm. that was when everything changed. Wow. And that's when I started the channel. I was scared to death. Every step of the way, I've been scared, Jen, right. And I'm sure you can.
I can relate.
Attest to anytime, and even doing this orb, mediumship. It's scary. Right. It's scary to do something new and different. But I know my guides have me by now. I know they've got me. I know it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Your guides, do you know your guides' names? Do you have a lot of guides? Do you have a constant guide? What's your team like?
That's an interesting question, because I always feel like there's a group and there's one out front. That's always what I feel like. And when I read for people, their guides come right in, and I always get a feel for the group. So that's just how they come in for me. And I think everybody's different that way. But for me, they always come in and I'll say, like, they all feel like farmers, or they all feel like, like they're scholars, or I'll just get kind of a feel for them. And sometimes one will kind of be almost like the spokesperson out front. And that's kind of how my guides are. I have to say with my guides, the feel for them is kind of biblical. They have kind of not religious, but like a churchy feel. Okay. It's very interesting. They're very light. They're funny. They always, to me, they have a sense of humor. They're always very calming, and they always want me to calm other people and help people to know everything's okay. Everything's okay. We've got you. This thing we're doing is temporary, and we are eternal beings. There is nothing to fear. So that's kind of what they feel like. And names, I did a video a long time ago where they told me a few interesting things, but one of them was about names. And they said that, on the earth plane, we like to name everything. We label everything. This is the table, this is a lamp. I'm Kim, you're Jen.
Right.
And it's the way that we have vocal cords. This is what we do. We use sounds and we name everything. And they said in the spirit realm, it's different because everybody knows everybody by their, it's almost like a spirit imprint, or like almost like a spirit fingerprint. Every energy is different. Every energy is unique. And that's how you know who everybody is. And can they give you a name? Yeah, they can. They can give you a name that reflects what their energy's like, so that you can have an idea. And usually what I have found is that when they give you a name, it's usually something that's meaningful to you. So if you have, if you're very, very, connected with, the Bible, they might give you a name like John, or something that you might relate to as biblical or be comfortable with because it's more biblical sounding, or Moses or something. They might just give you a name that reflects something that you can relate to and that you usually have some kind of connection with in a past life or on the other side that you don't remember, but they try to give you something that helps you know this is how we're connected. I remember one woman, her guide gave her the name Ariel. And she said, that was the name. And I said, well, what does that mean to you? And I'm like, are you connected with the angel Ariel? And she said, not really. What I thought of was like Ariel, like the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, well, and I'm like, well, what does that mean to you? And she said, well, I've always loved that story.
Yeah.
I sing. And so I love that, the music aspect to it. And I'm very connected to the ocean and the water. I'm like, that's what they're telling you, though, is that those things are also connected to them somehow. So it's all connected, and they're putting those pieces together for you with the name Ariel. So that's how I view spirit names. And so they really haven't given me a name. I haven't asked for one because after they explained that to me, I'm like, oh, that's okay. Well, I'll just know. And I know them from their energy form. I know them. They're so familiar now.
Right.
I just recognize them. So they don't really need a name in a way. But that's the very long answer about names and how I kind of perceive my guides.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I have one more question. You were talking about your dad, so it's going back to the orbs, and your dad went like this and orbs came out, that you can do that. What was that message? What do you interpret that message as?
I think that the fact I could, because that was the first time like I could see a silhouette.
Okay.
And so I think that was telling me that sometimes orbs can be the actual person or the actual pet. They can take that form to come into this environment because that's how they have to do it, because they're in this very dense environment, right? So they can take that form to come through, to sweep through and say, hey, we're here, or whatever. And however, that's not always what's happening. Sometimes the person is actually standing right there and they are shooting out orbs to you.
Oh.
And so that's what it was telling me, is that orbs can be one or the other. And it may be other things too. I just haven't figured it out yet. But that was that was mind-boggling to me, because I never even considered that the actual spirit was standing there just shooting them out and like throwing them out. And now I see it all the time. Now I can, and when I do, I can see it, and I'll say, I see you. Can you wave? And you can see the hand go like this. Sometimes they'll have an orb in their hand and they'll be going like this, like, hi. Oh, wow. So it's crazy. And like I said, in that one, we saw the kid take it up like a baseball and just throw it out. And it's incredible. But that's what it meant to me, was that and also when I actually did it, they were showing me, see, this is how it works. This is basically, we're all energy, and this is just energy. And so
Right.
we're showing you this is what it is.
Oh.
So those are but for now, those are the forms it can take. It can take the actual form of the actual person sweeping through, or they can be standing there throwing out orbs to you.
Wow, that is so beautiful. That's so great.
It's such a gift. It's such a gift. And I'm so thankful every day, because like I said, I think there are, a lot of us people in the chat, and you, Jen, we can feel things, and we're good with that. And we get messages, and we have these experiences, but there are people that are very locked into the 3D. They just are, and they need to see it. And it gives them that gift of, look, everything's okay. You can see it with your own eyes, and now everything's okay.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, that's a beautiful message. So thank you so much for being here. It's been wonderful talking to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And I'm sorry, as soon as you started to say you were going to talk about orbs, I'm like, I'm just going to be talking and talking and talking. I could talk about this stuff all day long. Honestly, it's so fun.
Yeah, it's wonderful. That's what we wanted you to do. We wanted you to. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for being here. We love you very much. Just wanted to let you know, Woo Crew starts tomorrow. Go to my website, jenbushman.com, and sign up for Woo Crew. We meet on Wednesday mornings. And I also have 3 spots left in the tarot class. So check it out, jenbushman.com. So thank you. Anything you want to announce, Kim, before we go? Do you have any announcements?
Just, go to the channel Intuitiview, and I have a Sunday show that's all spiritual. Every other Thursday, I do political and current event live, and the Sunday show is live also. And then if you want an orb mediumship reading, just go to intuitiview.com. And then all my classes, everything's there. My cards are there. Everything's there. And you can, if you can't get in, sometimes it's weird. So you can do intuitiview.com/orb mediumship or /cards, but you can find it. And if you, like I said, there aren't that many appointments left. So if you get locked out or you can't get one, just send me an email at intuitiview@gmail.com, and we'll figure it out.
Awesome. Excellent. All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you,
everyone. All right. Bye-bye.